The Jets and Giants turning it on in the preseason. We're talking games here, intra-squad practices, and joint practices. We'll break it all down. Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital on a Monday starts right now.
Let's go! It's time for the talk to you. 'Cause it's all we're gonna do. And Boy Green is always on the scene. And what you're always bringing to life, so get ready. Get ready, 'cause here they come.
All right, welcome aboard, everybody. Manchild here. You see him right there, Paul Boy Green Esden Jr., my partner in crime. It is the Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital at MC Show Digital. A show that covers New York football. Jets, Giants, Bills. We're going to dig in a lot today on Jets and Giants. And some big contracts that were signed in the last week of the NFL. I want to talk to Boy Green about the kind of the significance of that. So we'll get to that towards the end of the show. Good morning, Boy Green. It should be afternoon, but we are recording this show and dropping it in our normal slot at 3 o'clock due to some scheduling issues. But hopefully it will be as good as ever, my friend.
That's right. Well, you and golf and me and Jets-Bucs joint practice, this will be aligned. Yeah, but still releasing it at 3 o'clock time, so it feels homey. It feels like, the 3 o'clock thing, so that it's they're all the same. So, yeah, that's it's going to be awesome. I can't wait. Football's back. It's game week for us. The Panthers and Cardinals got to enjoy Hall of Fame game last week, which was awesome, by the way. Mm-hmm. High scoring, last second. Bud Poliquin didn't seem to appreciate it much, but that was pretty cool. So cool. Game week for both of us. So this is going to be great.
Yeah, it is going to be great. And boy, it's starting to bubble. Football is really getting here. Fantasy drafts starting to happen already for some early birds and some of the crazy experts out there. I'm already engrossed in both the NFL Network on Sirius XM and the Fantasy Sports Channel 24/7. You can get all the fantasy advice you'd ever want and more. Agree, disagree with all of these fantasy talking heads. Joe Bartle, who'll be joining us in a couple of weeks and start our fantasy bit on Fridays live, has been on the air a ton. Literally, I was listening, I think it was either yesterday, but it's over the weekend.
Okay. All right.
And I was listening to Sirius XM. And of course, I was listening to Fantasy Sports Radio because I'm trying to get plugged in, trying to remember.
2 weeks away from our draft.
All these players have moved. Like, part of it for me is getting reacquainted with the league.
Yeah.
That quarterback over there. Oh, yeah, Kirk Cousins. Oh, he's with the Raiders, Yes. Oh, yeah, they drafted this guy. They think he's going to do big. Like, it's just amazing. Not only, it used to just be kind of the draft and a couple of small moves. Now that free agency is just booming in the NFL, it literally is teams reconstructing rosters year to year, and you've got to know where these players are. Key running backs moving, key wide receivers moving,
trades, free agency, draft,
trades, free agency, you name it. So it's kind of, this is a fun time of year. It's almost like for folks like us, and I think we're not alone in this category, where you're kind of rediscovering football. It's so you're remembering where everybody went, or you're finding out where everybody went if you haven't been reading all off season. And I don't blame you if you don't, folks. There are other sports besides football. All right. I pay attention to a few other things as well. But football's just always kind of there. It's like in the background, and now it's not in the background anymore. It's in the forefront. And big things are happening, including some big contracts. As I mentioned, we'll get to them later. But let's start Jets and Giants. In particular, we'll go Jets first, Boy Green, because one of the reasons we're pre-recording this is you are off to another Jets practice. So your second preseason appearance for the Jets. So tell people where you're headed, what you're going to get to see. But the Jets are getting ready now for these joint practices, which to me are fascinating. This is where, first you play against yourself and you do some intra-squad. We can talk about that. And then you get together with another team and you actually start banging helmets with the enemy in kind of a controlled environment. We've seen more and more of this in the preseason in the NFL, and I find it very, very fascinating. So talk about it.
Yeah. So first off, I went to the general public practice that was available on Saturday, August 1st. A listener of the show said, Paul, take my tickets. I'm like, oh my goodness, thank you. So I got to go and that was cool, but it wasn't padded. So there's a level, like it was cool and there's a lot of takeaways to have, but it wasn't a padded practice yet. That didn't happen until a few days later. So that part of it was different. These other practices that are available to quote unquote fans are special. You need to know a guy to be able to get in. So either you need to be a season ticket holder, win a ticket lottery, or something very unique. I'm not a season ticket holder. That sounds cool. Maybe I'm retired one day. I'll do it, but and have more money. So I don't have that. So I entered a ticket lottery, and my family thinks I'm the luckiest person on planet Earth with all these things I've won throughout my life. And I got lucky and I won a pair of tickets to the Jets-Bucs private joint practice that has limited fans at it. So thank the lucky overlords that happened. So I'm going to bring Court Sports. She's a fellow Jets content creator. She came with me the first time last week. So I won it and I could bring a +1. So that was great. She's in the area and she gives me lodging. So thank you very much. So and that's why I'm leaving today as opposed to tomorrow. So then we'll only be like 30 minutes from the practice field that way, or else I would have had to try to leave tomorrow morning to figure it out. So yeah, so thank goodness above. So anywho, it's awesome. And now to me, I just feel like there's a lot of things to take away. It is the new age thing. It seems like all teams are doing joint practices now. Again, you have pads on. There's no cameras outside of your own. Sure, Bucks have cameras on their sideline, Jets have cameras on their sideline, but the other 30 teams aren't seeing what you're doing at this joint practice. So it allows you to show some scheme for both sides and really show stuff that you're working on. Core principles is what Frank Reich called it on Friday. They're plays that they love to run. They're going to go and test it out against this Bucks team. In a preseason game, you're not showing your plays yet because you want to hide that for the regular season. So these joint practices are all the new rage. It allows you to test yourself for the Jets. I think this is sort of the perfect opponent. It's not the Rams, the Super Bowl contender. It's the greatest team of all time. It's not the Dolphins, with all due respect, who may be the worst team in football. This is a Bucs team that's been in the playoffs. They've won some NFC South titles. They're in the heart of the middle of the league, the great middle. And so I think it's a great test for the Jets. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to intensity picking up, physicality, pads, and AG and Todd Bowles are close friends, so they're going to really lay the cards on the line of what they're trying to accomplish in these practices and allow both teams to get that out of it. So I can't wait to be there. I'm going to have my notebook, taking notes, and sharing a lot of observations, obviously, here on the show and on our shorts.
Could your future quarterback be on the opposing team, my friend? You know what I'm getting at here.
Yeah, I do. That was actually the topic on Boy Green Daily this morning, and it's something that's bubbling. It's interesting. Baker Mayfield is entering the last year of his $100 million contract. He told the Bucs months ago that, hey, here's how this is going to work. If you want to sign me to an extension, which I would love, you need to get it to me before the beginning of training camp. If it's not done before training camp, I'm cutting off negotiations, and I'll talk to you next year right before free agency, and we'll see if we can figure out something then. Exactly what transpired. The Bucs did not give him the extension he was looking for. He held a presser at the beginning of camp and said he was disrespected and undervalued is how he felt coming out of those negotiations. So interesting. And apparently he told Jeremy Fowler in a one-on-one interview after that he wanted basically that contract, wanted it to be long-term, not short-term, and it better start with a 5, which he was talking about 50 million, of course. And let me play a game with you real quick, Lurch. Okay. Do you know how many quarterbacks in the NFL make at least 50 million per year?
I don't, but I'll offer an educated guess.
Okay.
I mean, definitively Dak Prescott. I for some reason, I'm pretty sure Matthew Stafford is too.
Okay.
I don't know why I think that, but I think when they extended him, I think he got over 50.
Okay.
I'm going to say,
pick a number.
I'm going to say 5.
There are 12 quarterbacks.
Wow. Oh, that's shocking.
Million.
I cannot believe that. Wow.
And off the top of the head, from Trevor Lawrence to Joe Burrow to Tua to Patrick Mahomes, Dak
Tua's
Prescott.
on that list?
Yeah, he's on that list. Now, he's getting paid by the Dolphins right now because he's a member of the Falcons. So, but he is still set to make that amount of money this year. But Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, like there's 12. So I did it this morning because I said, that's what he wants. And a lot of fans are like, he's not worth that. I'm like, well, okay, well, let's look who else is making this. And I'm like, 12 guys. Okay, Baker's asking for top 12 money. That seems pretty respectable based on the number he's put up. So it sounds crazy, but we're in a new day and age. The market goes up every year in terms of quarterback price, and also the cap goes up every year. So to me, it's apparently a very reasonable thing to ask for when you look at the rest of the league. So could he be the next quarterback? Of course he could. We sat together in 2018, Lurch, at your house. And before the recent news and nuggets came out when we were sitting together where we thought that, oh, wow, is Sam Darnold going to fall to the Jets? The quarterback Jet fans thought for the majority of that offseason when the Jets traded up to the 3rd overall pick, everyone thought they were getting Baker Mayfield. That was like, oh, that's going to happen. And it didn't because the Browns ended up taking Baker and the rest is history. But yes, I think he has to be on the table. I think he'll have a shot at free agency because of his contract situation. The franchise tag is going to be over $50 million, and he's owed a $30 million dead cap hit. So the Buccaneers may have to pay him $80 million, their franchise tag him, and I don't know if they can afford that. So he may be an unrestricted free agent, which the Jets, of course, would have an opportunity to sign him. So, yeah, maybe I'll be doing some scouting. I won't lie, Lurch, at this joint practice. I'll be taking a peek ski at old Baker. I like his fire. I like his energy. We even talked about it a few years ago. Before he signed with the Bucs, Lurch, I was asking you, hey, do you want Baker in New York? He sort of has that moxie to sort of rally, like in Cleveland, like this godforsaken franchise. He's sort of injected some life and energy into. Could he do that for the Giants, who have been they're a much more iconic franchise, obviously, than the Browns, but they've been dormant since the 2 Super Bowls, Eli. They've just been hanging in mediocrity. Like, how do you fight out of that? Maybe Baker is the answer. So 100% he has to be on the table for the Jets.
Yeah, and you don't know what's going to happen with these quarterbacks in college this year and who's going to rise to the top, and is there a clear-cut one? And then if the Jets, who hope to be, dare I say, an improved team this year record-wise with their coach literally playing for his job, you may not have a top 5 pick, okay? Yeah. And if you don't have a top 5 pick, now you're probably trading to get in, and then it depends on who's up there, whether or not you can trade to get in and get the guy that you want. So it can be tricky business. Now, if the Jets have a lousy season, it'll all be a moot point, and they'll have, they'll use their own pick at the top of the draft or somewhere near it. That's where them and the Giants have been in recent years. So, dare I to predict that they're not going to be there. But, I just think you don't know what the future holds, and you don't know what the college landscape's going to be like. And you don't know if any of these quarterbacks are going to get hurt. Maybe the one you love gets hurt. That's a whole different animal. So there's just so many variables. Baker Mayfield is a sure thing. You know exactly what you're getting, exactly what he can do on the field. The problem, of course, is rookie contract versus 50 million plus contract.
Yeah, it's a big gap.
But every team wants their franchise quarterback, right? And maybe even on the grand scale, Baker Mayfield, dare I say, could be somewhat affordable compared to some of these other quarterbacks. It might actually, 50 might not. That's pretty affordable. As you mentioned, 12 guys already in that stratosphere, and it's only going up. I mean, every day we say it, every time, whether it's a left tackle, a right guard, a safety, next big name guy. And now the highest paid safety, the highest paid quarterback. We just keep saying it over and over again because this is just what happens now is the newest guy, the latest guy is the highest paid, assuming it's a star, assuming it's a star player, top level player.
Do you know that? Let's play Guess Who. I used to love that game when I was a kid after school, and I was in the after school game. I had my cards up. They had their cards up. We're trying to find it. Guess Who. Let me give you a name. You just tell me if you know who this person is. Peter Skoronski. Do you know who that is?
I know he's a lineman. I know he just signed just a few days ago. Yeah.
I liked him coming out of the draft a couple years ago. Peter Skoronski. For those who don't know, he's an offensive lineman for the Tennessee Titans. He's now the highest paid guard in NFL history. That just goes that, like, again, the next guy.
Right.
Bijan Robinson. Woohoo! I'm the highest paid running back. 3 seconds later, Jahmyr Gibbs, I'm the highest paid running back. We're going to get into the running back stuff later, but it just like the money is just absolutely insane. By the way, I want to give a quick plug, Lurch. This entire broadcast is brought to you by our friends over at Northeast Roofing Professionals. This episode brought to you by our friends at Sharkies in Liverpool. That's where our fantasy draft is going to be, Lurch.
Coming up, man.
we have a couple of other drafts.
Almost.
Ours is until almost the latest it can possibly be, that Friday before the season, and the season starts on a Wednesday this year. So, I mean, we're still, that one's another 3-4 plus weeks away, but our other drafts are starting to creep in like 2 weeks. It's crazy. So shout out to our friends at Sharkies. I've not been there for a fantasy draft. Can't wait to check that off the bucket list, Lurch.
Yeah, and anybody in the greater New York area want to come to our fantasy draft, it's open to the public. You can come. We're going to have a nice private room, but I'll get you a VIP pass.
Ooh.
You can come on in and watch a fantasy draft happen live. That'll be our Champs League, which has been in existence now. This will be the 10th season of our Champs League.
September 4th, by the way, is when that draft is. Sharkies in Liverpool, Friday, September 4th. Yep.
And by the way, I'm still walking around town.
Sure. Yeah, show it off. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, nice.
The winner of our digital league.
Right, yeah, look at that. That's a lot of championship there, Lurch. Oh, look at the shine. Look at the glimmer. Wow.
Oh, yeah. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. All right, so that puppy's been coming around with me.
Have you been just at you're at Bayberry Automotive and you're just carrying the championship around? You go to the grocery store, you're grabbing a.
Yeah, I can wear it as a belt that's adjustable, so I can just stick it around and I could have free hands. It's really pretty cool. So starting to wear it out and about town. Just
getting comfortable with it.
Yeah, getting more comfortable with it. Exactly, getting comfortable with the idea of not only having it until the next champion is crowned, but maybe another year beyond that.
Forever. Yeah, right.
Jamie, the FedEx guy, a Hall of Fame member, who I'm sure is watching this video, is have the other things to say about it. He was texting me over the weekend, like, I intend on taking that away. Oh, and by the way, I feel so bad because we filled up this digital league so quickly. But you never know what next year will bring. Maybe there'll be another digital league. Maybe we'll get some people will drop out.
Oh, did someone feel left out? Who was it?
Well, I interviewed. I know you missed the interview this week because we've just been having some conflicts as we're kind of winding down our schedules, getting ready for fall football. And so I interviewed Anthony Prohaska, our Bills insider, just a couple of days ago. Anthony, literally that day, was on his way to the red and blue scrimmage that they have at the beautiful brand new stadium in Buffalo. And so I talked to Anthony and I said, oh, you're going to the red and blue tonight? He's like, yeah, it's going to be awesome. I said, is this the first time you're actually going to be in the stadium? He said, yeah, I'm going to take a ton of pictures and so on and so forth. Anyway, and so during the course of our interview, I don't know, the belt was nearby. And I said, hey, and the cool thing we got going on, Anthony. And he was like, oh, man, he was creaming over this belt. And said, oh, my God, you got any more spots in the league? So I was like, oh, Anthony, I wish I had thought of you when we were putting the league together. You would have been a great addition to the league because we love to have some of our insiders. We have Joe Bartle, our fantasy insider. So he's kind of the penultimate guy because he talks fantasy with us every week. But we have guys like Anthony, of course, Ed Valentine, and Jake Asman, and so many of our regulars. And Anthony he wanted in, man. I was like, oh, Anthony, I'm sorry.
Well, do you think okay, you tell me if I text him right now. Do I try to get him in like the Triple C? Do I try to get him in the running?
He wants that belt, man. I don't think he wants any other league, man. He wants the belt.
I'll reach out just in case.
I want that belt, baby. I want it, and I want it now.
I mean, here's the thing. Okay, I know his prowess in Bills land. I know nothing about his fantasy football history.
Me neither, but you know what? We know Anthony. He's been on the show since we've been digital and going back to the radio days for a couple of years as well. Anthony, as you know, is a tape fiend, and he is definitely to me, he's like a statistical marvel. Of
course, definitely
the analytical part of him. I mean, Cover One, who he works for, calls him a Bills analyst, and that's exactly what he is. He's an analyst. I mean, he will get into the crevices and the cracks. If you ask him a question to go down that road, he will take it 10 miles straight down that road, and you're just like, what's he talking about, man? That crap sounds amazing. I don't know what the hell he's talking about sometimes. He really gets into the in-depth stuff. A guy like that, that's a dangerous fantasy player to me, man. That's a guy that's going to know all the nooks and crannies and have every maneuver already planned 6 months down the road. So he to me, I've never played in a fantasy league with him, obviously, but he seemed like a dangerous guy to be in a fantasy league with, man. I think he'd be a really good player.
Well, I just texted him, so we'll see if there's any developments during the show. And I said, hey, you're a fantasy football guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's just it. No, the first thing I just said is, "Hey, Anthony, you're a fantasy football guy." So I'm just putting the line in the water, and I'm just seeing if I get a nibble. And if I do, I start crank.
If anybody does drop out of the digital league before we get to the draft, I doubt that will happen. But if anybody does,
Yeah, because
Anthony's
everyone's
man,
paid, everyone's money
wage.
in. Yeah,
I
I know,
bet you
yeah.
Anthony's first question to you upon you asking him, "Hey, what about one of these other leagues?" Is going to be, "Well, they have a WWE belt?" I bet you that's going to be his first question because he was like, "Whoa, what the?
Yeah.
Oh, I want that right now." He was
Here's
all
my
about
only problem. Okay, so I've never done a championship belt before, so this is the first time. It's awesome. Like it's good. Wow, to hold a championship belt, have it over my shoulder, have it around my waist. Any of that is amazing,
very
and
powerful.
it's an eye catching piece. Clearly,
Mhm.
my only potential problem with it is, and people have to be willing to change. Things change. You got to be willing to adapt or die, as a Moneyball line would say. But like, how do we keep track of these winners, right? So let's say we do this hopefully for like the next 10 years or something. We're going to have like 10 of these championship belts running around, but there's no name, year, title, like the trophies. Hey, Paul, who won it in 2018? Well, let me see. Yeah, it was this guy in 2019. Here's the team name. Ah, great memories. Here's the guy's name. Boom. So like the trophy like documents a history. Jamie's a great historian of the league, but I guess I sort of have him on speed dial. If I ever have history information, I could go ask the encyclopedia, askjeeves.com over there. But like, I like that the trophy documents a history. There's no documented history for these
True.
championships right now.
Well, I don't know. I mean, time's not out yet. I mean, we got an entire season where a trophy could be produced as well. That'll stay there,
Wow.
or stay at the home offices on that
That makes
shelf
sense.
behind you, or on that shelf
Sure.
behind me. So don't
Yep.
worry. It's possible. It's actually it's funny that you say that, because you know how you buy stuff online, and then the
Yes.
next thing you know, everything in your feed is like
Oh,
popping up,
yes.
another one.
Recommending stuff.
So,
Oh, yes.
I purchased
Yes.
online that championship belt. I looked at a whole bunch of them. There's a bunch of
Yeah.
companies that make them, and
Yeah.
looked at the reviews, and I was like, boy, this,
Yeah.
the decent price, and looks like I want something really nice here
Yeah.
that people are
Oh,
going to
well.
appreciate,
I think I know
So
what
I
you're
got the
about
one
to
that I thought
say.
was good. And now I'm getting all these other ones, and like all these other cool trophies for fantasy leagues, ones that look actual like replicas of the Lombardi Trophy, which to me is
Yeah.
very
Look at this
attractive
one.
for a league
So this
trophy,
is one. So we have 2 leagues for my coffee club and espresso club.
Mhm,
It's my YouTube membership. And this is, I'll go full screen so you guys can see it.
mhm.
This is,
Yeah,
I would start to look at trophies because I asked the group, would you guys want it to be a money league, a trophy league, a both?
there's some
And
sweet
when they said
trophies.
trophy, I went, oh, look at this. Look at that.
Yeah, I mean, come
Oh
on,
my goodness.
these
And
are
it's
sweet.
relatively affordable. If everyone shells out like 10 to 20 bucks, we're all going
Yeah,
to get like, look
that's
at the
a winner's
size of this
trophy.
thing.
Yeah,
That is,
fantastic.
and this has 15 years of championships on it. So it's going to last a
Yeah,
decade and a half. Like, I mean, you get your bang for
pretty
your buck. I
cool.
was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, can you imagine that? Like, kind of sizable, beautiful championship? Like, that's incredible.
I mean, when we bought kind of I'll call it a somewhat, it's a decent trophy, but our
Yeah.
somewhat dinky trophy by today's standards for
That
our
was my
Champs
word. I was
League, which
thinking of,
was our
yes.
top league. And lo and behold, did we know we were going to be celebrating year 10 of that league
Yeah.
this year? That we'd have 9 plates on the side of it. I mean, it's so small that you have to wrap around the trophy for the different plates. Like Boy Green's
Yeah,
going to show
look.
it to you, right? So it's a pretty cool trophy. I mean, by those back then standards, this was a pretty impressive
Of course,
trophy. You
the
got
Barker
the
Lounger.
football
Yeah.
guy in the Barker Lounger wearing his jersey and his helmet in the chair. And you can
Yeah.
see by Boy Green, and bring that back up one more time, BG,
Yeah.
before you walk it away. So
Yeah.
the front, it says the league and everything. And then you look to the right, he's going to spin that counterclockwise there. All right. And okay, there's the first year. All right. You see me right there, won the first year, and the 5 other winners. And then he flips to the second side, and you're going to see 4 more names, and that 5th one's going to be filled out. And then we have the back, and then we're done. Like that's it.
And
That
then that's
trophy
it.
will be
Yeah.
filled. We'll have to get another trophy or something. So, but I mean, I guess we were smart enough to get something that would house 15 winners on it.
Just in case, I
But
guess.
yeah,
Right.
I mean, I think we're very likely going to get there. I don't think.
Oh, for sure. This
almost
league
not
is
in doubt,
very passionate. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
this league is super passionate. We built an amazing community of people. We have this cool thing called relegation, where you get bumped out of the league if you finish in the bottom 3. We'll have to make a decision. We wanted to get this digital league off the ground and get
Yes.
it humming. But my sentiment is this, BG, that probably what we're going to do
Okay.
is we're going to have, we won't dump the radio leagues because we've had them for so long, and like I
Right.
said, we have a lot of people who have participated in those leagues for years, and I wouldn't want to just dump them at the curb and say,
Ooh,
"Hey,
it-
sorry, we're
yeah.
done." All right, but
Transfer.
this. Right. I think what we're going to do, and doesn't this
Interesting.
make the most sense? Because when you and I decided we were going to do a fantasy league for the radio
Yeah.
show and with our listeners, and have people
Mhm.
interact with us, we said, hey, all right, that sounds awesome. I said, let's get as many listeners as in. Then you're like, hey, maybe we want some of our insiders too. I was like, yeah, oh, that's cool too. Like people that we talk to
Get
regularly.
some skin in the game.
Razz them during the interview, like if Anthony was in one of our leagues. Like, man, Anthony, I kicked your butt in fantasy. What the heck?
Jeez, you're in last place. What's going on, loser? Like, right. Like that. That's
loser quarterback only threw for 100 yards and 0 touchdowns.
Right.
What went on with Josh Allen this week? I thought you drafted him to be a Titanic guy.
Right.
He had a lousy week against that Texas defense or whatever. You can have a little fun, dare I say, in some of our interviews. So we decided to do that as well. And we kind of scattered eventually throughout our 4 leagues that we had for the radio, different insiders. I think probably where we're headed with this is to have 2 leagues from the radio days, our Champs and our Chumps League, which were our 2 original leagues. We started with 1 league, and then Boy Green said, I said, boy, there's a lot. He said, there's a lot more people. I said, well, let's create a second league, I guess. And then we came up with this idea. Hey, let's have this gimmick. Finish in the top 3, you ascend to the better league, dare I say, or the more prestigious league, drop down. So we called it Champs and Chumps, right? You don't want to be in the Chumps League. You want to finish at the top of the Chumps to get in the Champs. It made a lot of sense. Now we have this digital league, and we have now, we got rid of, because of the digital league, the Quad Cities League.
It's dissolved.
Our 4th league. To be relegated down 3 full leagues all the way from the top to the bottom.
So good news for the Triple C at this point. Like,
the Triple C still exists, right? The 3rd league is called the Triple C. Notice all the kind of the cool little connections to the 1, 2, and 3. I think Triple C probably now ends up over on the digital side, and we basically have Champs and a Chumps and a digital Champs and a digital Chumps, or whatever we end up calling them, because I love what we created in relegation. I think relegation is one of the most awesome things we've ever done in our leagues, and I would almost never want to get rid of it, because it just keeps everyone invested,
engaged
until the very end of the regular season. Relegation is the ultimate humiliation. You've been sent down, pal. Head to the minors, all right? You're getting less money, and you're going to go play at some lousy stadiums and ride on some ratty buses, all right?
Because normally what happens, Lurch, is you find out, you're like, man, I drafted Christian McCaffrey 1st overall. He blew out his leg. I'm 0-6. Screw this league. Screw you bastards. I'm not setting lineups. I give up. And then the rest of the league's like, what the hell? It's unfair, because the first 6 weeks of whatever you played versus now you're not going to check your lineup. You have injured guys in there. And like, that's the ultimate problem in fantasy football. How do we make sure those people stay engaged the entire year if they're not into it? Well, making sure you don't get sent down to the doldrums. Well, that's what incentivizes it. So yeah, I agree. It's like the greatest twist of all time.
I don't think I was ever more engaged in a fantasy league the year that I was in the bottom 3 for most of the season. And I was battling to get out, and I got out on the final week. I was like on the waiver wire. I was trying to make trades. I was doing anything I could. I've got to get out of the bottom 3. This is the ultimate humiliation. I was able to climb out. So to me, relegation is awesome. So I think having 2 leagues and then having relegation really does, it adds another level of competitive juice to the league. That makes it really, really good. So I think that's probably the road we're headed down, but we've got the digital league up and running now. We're going to draft in a couple of weeks. We'll see how it all goes. We're still working on how we're going to concoct our draft, because we want to do a non-timed live draft of some sort. We've got to figure it out with these other 10 people, how we're going to get away with this. But I want it to be as similar to the Champs League as it can be, where we do literally a live draft where you have to be there in person. All right. I love that aspect. There's nothing like a live draft. There's nothing like a draft where, not that you're going to take an hour for a pick. There are limits, at some point the commissioners go, you got to make your pick here. But you're not like just clicking buttons on a computer screen and determine, and having ratings of other services pop up in your eye line and kind of mess with you in a lot of ways. And just saying, oh, wait, let me just look at this. Let me look at the board again here. Wait a minute. Okay. Ooh, they all haven't taken a quarterback. I haven't taken a quarterback. And now my turn is coming up. 3 people. Maybe I better take a quarterback here, or I'm going to get like the low end of the bottom of the barrel. I just think there are things like that in a live draft where you get a second to breathe and you can just go over and look at the board and just kind of see what's going on around you, and then go, all right, I think I'm still in good shape to get the guy that I want here. And I think when you're doing the online drafts, as much as they are very expeditious,
those details can get lost for sure.
They're lost. And then when you finish a team and you go back and look at the draft, oh my goodness, I thought I didn't know the guy was on the board, or oh, that was a bad mistake there.
No.
Gosh, I could have waited 3 more rounds to pick a quarterback. So
No.
I like having the big board or some semblance of it kind of in front of me, and the ability to kind of do a little bit of analysis before I make a final decision on a pick. I think it's
the only problem is I want to recreate it as much as the Champs League as possible because we do it at a live draft. There's a big board up. We have people that work for us with us slapping stickers up. You could go over and see beautifully, easily who's taken what. They're color coded. So, oh wow, only 3 quarterbacks have gone because they're color pink or whatever color they are. We won't be able to do that level in this digital world because of where everyone is. And I help everyone out. Here's the top 500 board. Here's the top 500 board. Here's your roster sheet. So I provide all kinds of information live that you guys have everything in front of you that you need, which makes it super easy for people. So we won't be able to get it to that level, but I do hope we give it as best of an imitation as possible on the digital side. Because if we were all in person, that'd be one thing, but we have people all across America in this league. So
yeah. All right, let's do a couple more on the Jets, and we'll get out to break, say hello to our sponsors, then we'll do some Giants stuff, and then I want to talk about those running backs. So, Boy Green, all right, let's get into this Jets thing. So you're headed off to see this joint practice between the Jets and Tampa Bay. The Jets also doing an inter-squad scrimmage on Saturday where they played a full game against each other. They just did it over the weekend. So, again, give me the scoop on that. What came out of that? Because that's always, I think, a good parameter to really see some real things out of a team in the practice level.
Yeah, it was a great hot start. Geno Smith and the starting offense went against the starting defense, and they went right down the field. Geno Smith found Isaiah Williams for a beautiful 36-yard toe-tapping touchdown in the back of the end zone. You're like, oh, we're off to the races. We're going to see a lot of points. Little did we know that was the only touchdown of the day for the Jets offense. So they didn't get back into the end zone. They had about 9 drives of opportunity. So that did not go well. It was just sort of a lot of self-inflicted wounds, things of that nature. But again, that's what practice is all about. So, it is what it is. Geno Smith was beautiful in that first drive, but then he started getting sloppy a little bit later. The one scare that happened was David Bailey, our prize number 2 overall pick. He fell down to the ground near Geno Smith's legs, and he's got immediate medical attention, and you start freaking out. Like, even as we're recording this live, Lurch, there's been all these devastating injuries across the league. And random, the Lions center, Cade Mays, is out indefinitely. I just saw that news break as we're doing this show right now, and a few other injuries are popping up, and that's devastating. Thankfully, the Jets dodged a bullet. David Bailey appears to be perfectly fine for the Jets, and that's good. But that was a scare, because he went down to the ground, and he is the straw that stirs the drink for this pass rush. If he disappears, I don't know what the Jets' plan is at pass rusher. So there's an injury scare here or there. The defense showed a lot of plays. That was fun. Interceptions all over the place, which is good, because for the Jets' defense, that of course didn't have an interception last year, you want turnovers. So it was a good test against themselves. But again, to me, the real test is coming up this week. If David Bailey is good to go, and by all accounts he will be, how does he look against Tristan Wirfs, who's an all-pro? Although Tristan Wirfs, I guess, is going to be missing time. So, but how do they just compete against another team? Green team, red team. How do they look? Offensive line, defensive line, offensive line, wide receivers, corners. Emeka Ibuka is out there. You have Chris Godwin, who's still out there for Tampa Bay, and obviously Baker Mayfield, who we talked about. He's a veteran, savvy quarterback that's been around and knows how to get the ball from point A to point B. Jets, I hope they take this as a test for themselves. They got 2 practices. They want to get the better of the other team. Competitive juices are flying. You want to, quote, win the day. You want to win every rep, and I think that's going to be an important thing to watch.
I agree. And then first preseason game for the Jets, 7:00 on Friday.
Friday night. All of their games actually
they're going to play, obviously, in these joint practices. So yeah, and I know a lot of the league, right, getting it going on Friday. The Giants don't play theirs until Saturday. So give me a thought about first preseason game. What might we see? Who might the Jets even play? With only 3 preseason games these days, coaches have attacked this in some strange and different ways than in the past.
Very much so. Normally in the 4 preseason game slate, and only 2 teams have 4 preseason games this year. That's the Hall of Fame participants. Panthers, Cardinals will have 4 games. They have the bonus game and then their other normal 3, but the rest of the league only has 3 games. Now, normally that final preseason game, no one plays of significance. Your dress rehearsal is normally the penultimate game of your preseason, which in this case, with only 3 games, would be that second game. The Jets play the Bucs this week, Steelers next week, Giants in the last week. And normally that Giants game was the big Snoopy Bowl dress rehearsal. But with that being the final game, I don't know what Jet starters would be playing in that one. But let's go one game at a time here. Aaron Glenn over the weekend after the inter-squad scrimmage said his plan right now at this moment in time is for everyone to play. but to what extent we will determine. So it sounds like we're going to get the starters for some point, but I mean, the majority, the big storyline, come on, Lurch. This is a quarterback-driven league. It's sex appeal. It's rookies. Cade Klubnik getting his shot against the Buccaneers. Like Carson Beck for Arizona. He goes crazy in that Hall of Fame game. Everyone's buzzing about Carson Beck. Cade Klubnik has his chance to make his mark in this preseason game. He's going to be the storyline to watch. How does he get in and out of a huddle? How does he line up his guys? What's the knowledge of the playbook? What's his arm look like? What's the moxie when things go wrong? Does he, sort of implode on himself? Is he able to do something with it? That's going to be the big thing for me for this preseason game. And again, all of the Jets preseason games this year are all on Fridays.
Okay. All right. So that's a good, nice little look at the Jets. We'll take a break here and hear from our friends at Northeast Roofing and today's video sponsor, our friends at Sharkies. And then we'll come back. We'll break down the Giants, news and notes from Giants camp, Boy Green, that I've got for you. So we'll get into that. They have left West Virginia, now back in New Jersey, and getting ready for their first preseason game, as we mentioned, coming up this weekend. So more on that when we return. Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital at MC Show Digital. Don't forget to like the video on the way in. If you're not already a subscriber, there's the link to go, youtube.com/at MC Show Digital, and that will get you to our page, and then subscribe. It's absolutely free. We are closing in on 1,000 subscribers. Need every one of you that isn't subscribed to please click that subscribe button today. All right, word from our friends, then we're right back. Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital continues.
If you plan on throwing a party, whether it's a wedding, clam bake, birthday party, graduation party, a party, company picnic, oh, and did I mention clam bake? Sharkies is your party headquarters with 3 indoor options and a plethora of outdoor options as well. All in a park-like setting with a big stage and over 7,000 square feet of covered pavilion. So rain or shine, we've got you covered. Book your next party now. Go to sharkiesbanquets.com. Sharkies in Liverpool, making parties historic every single year.
Finding the right local roofing company can be tricky. You don't want to hire the wrong roofers, or you could end up spending a fortune on repairs. The pros at Northeast Roofing Professionals can ensure your home is protected by a strong and sturdy roof. Locally owned and operated, over 30 years experience, free estimates, and competitively priced. Don't settle for an inexperienced roofing contractor. Turn to Northeast Roofing Professionals. Discounts for military and first responders. Reach out and let them put a sturdy roof over your head. NERPCNY.com. NERPCNY.com.
All right, we are back. Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital at MC Show Digital. Me and my friend, the WWE Championship belt, which will be given away to the winner of our digital fantasy football league. So just getting more and more acquainted. I'm getting to like kind of the warmth of
a little belt. Too acquainted.
That's my pretty.
Have you been doing any of this? Like, yeah, and like going on the top turnbuckle and saying the champ is here. Any of that going on?
I mean, I wish it was genuinely owned by me. I mean, it is temporarily. I am, dare I say, the defending champ in our top league from last year, the Champs League. But we did not have it in the cards that someone who won that league was supposed to get this belt. So officially, it's really nobody's belt. But since I did put out for it, I decided I'll keep it for now and showcase it a little bit in our videos. Yeah. But it's an awesome trophy, and someone's going to have it come the end of this coming football season. So looking forward to that.
Lurch, is anyone at Giants camp hoisting anything up? Is there anything worth hoisting up with what the Giants are doing in training camp?
I don't know. I'll tell you what, a lot of news and notes to get to Giants camp. Okay. Obviously, we heard last week from Ed Valentine. We should probably hear from him again this week about his, kind of final analysis of Giants camp. But I've been obviously very plugged into all of the beat writers and the beat reporters that are down there covering the Giants during camp. One, of course, is Dan Dugan, who writes for The Athletic. He's been doing some podcasts. He's also been writing a lot of stuff about the Giants. It's good to get a variety of opinions, and it really is interesting hearing from Ed and then reading or watching some of the stuff that Dan Dugan is putting out, and then seeing or listening to the differences, the nuances between the two. So I think there'll be some Ed stuff here and then some Dugan stuff here mixed in, along with some of the other beat reporters whose kind of opinion I trust. There is a nice little conglomerate. What did Ed say? There were about 9 or 10 or 12 guys, a dozen or so down there in West Virginia. It was a small pack. That's a long way to go. That's a big expense to stay there for a couple of weeks. So that's not easy, even if you work for a major publication like The Athletic, for them to just go, okay, yeah, get down there. So I guess if you do work for something a little bit larger, you're kind of lucky to do that. And Ed felt very lucky to be able to go down and cover another Giants camp since he's covered so many over the years. Let's start with a real issue. And Dan Dugan brought this up, and I do think it's really worthy of talking about for a minute or two. And that is exactly what is the Giants offense this year. And when I say that, it's not, Jackson Dart or the Malik Neighbors injury and whether he'll be back, or Cam Scadaboo and his health and what that running game is going to look like, or even the bringing in of a rookie to integrate in a starting position on that offensive line to go alongside some guys that are somewhat established. The Giants will bring back 4 or 5 starters on that offensive line. There is, for the first time in a long time, some continuity, dare I say. And then the one guy they're adding is one of the studs out of the draft that they hope is going to be, an absolute foundation. Now, they've had to move him to a different position, which is also kind of interesting. Welcome to Giants Nation these days on the offensive line. But he does seem so far, and I'm talking about Malagnoa, adapting pretty well to playing on the inside part of that line. And maybe inevitably he'll move back out to tackle at some point if and when that time comes. But I certainly, the Giants signing Jermaine Illuminor, their right tackle, to a longer-term deal and giving him some money, certainly at least delayed that opportunity, I think, unless there's an injury. So with that in mind, back to what is the Giants offense. And I think what definitely has me concerned, about this Giants offense this year is exactly who's running it, Paul. All right. Now, what do I mean by that?
Yes, I know exactly what you mean.
John Harbaugh is not really a guy that gets his hands really, really on offenses. Okay?
Right. He's a special teams coach.
John Harbaugh's background is he came from the special teams world. That doesn't mean that he's ill-equipped to run an offense or ill-equipped to run a defense. But I've always kind of felt, that he's kind of more of a great general manager who, if anything, maybe leans a little more defense, leans a little more in that direction. Okay. That's always my thought. Think of all the great defenses that they've had over the years in Baltimore. All right. They've had some amazing defenses, and Harbaugh is certainly responsible for that, responsible for the draft picks they've made, the group of people they put together.
Part of it, at least.
So I think if Harbaugh leans anywhere, it would be just my opinion that he probably leans a little more defense. But again, he's the CEO, he's the GM type, CEO
right,
type.
He's responsible for everything,
great delegator, great guy in finding the right coaches to put on his staff. However, if we all go back in the Wayback Machine, not that long, of months ago, when John Harbaugh was hired originally by the Giants, we all know that he wanted Todd Monken to be his offensive coordinator. I mean, he was with him in Baltimore. Yes. They have a relationship. He likes the Monken offense. And then Monken goes out there and gets himself his own head coaching job. Okay.
I can't believe that happened. Right?
Yeah. Cleveland, right?
Cleveland, yes. Yeah.
Suddenly, Monken, who was available at the time when Harbaugh was hired, there were a couple of jobs that still weren't filled, including Cleveland. There weren't a ton of people saying, oh, Monken's going to get that job. And the next thing he did get that job. And all of a sudden, John Harbaugh, I'm already here.
My top guy's gone. Right.
My top guy is gone. The guy I have the relationship with is gone. And so there were other really good prospects, dare I say, roaming the countryside, Boy Green. Greg Roman, an offensive mind for years and years, was out there roaming the countryside. Brian Callahan had been let go. A guy that was a great offensive mind and ascended all the way to head coach, but it didn't work out where he was. All right.
Mike McDaniel was out there.
Daniel was out there. And Matt Nagy was out there. Okay.
Yeah.
Had spent a little bit of time with Andy Reid in Kansas City.
A lot of time with Andy Reid,
and he was out there. All these guys have run offenses. They've all been OCs at some point in their careers, some of them for many years. Okay, they certainly have their tendencies and their things and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. What do the Giants do? Well, they don't get Monken. They don't go get McDaniel, as you're suggesting, or could have suggested. They go out and they get Nagy, Roman, and Callahan. And they bring them all in. Okay, they're all on the staff now. Roman's position is like consultant / offensive. I don't. His title is so amorphous. I don't even get it. Okay, what exactly his role is? He's just another mind in this pot, that the Giants are stirring to put together some semblance of an offense. Brian Callahan ends up being named quarterback coach. All right, so he's kind of running the day-to-day with Jackson Dart and the quarterback room. All right. But that's not offensive coordinator, which is where he's been before. Remember, this is
here's his title. I have it here. So Brian Callahan is a passing game coordinator and quarterback
game coordinator and quarterbacks coach. There you go. Okay, so what, he's in charge when they throw the ball? Okay, go ahead.
Yes. Greg Roman is the senior offensive assistant.
Right. Like, okay, he's just kind of in charge of everything offense. Okay, and go ahead. And then what is Matt Nagy?
And then Matt Nagy is just straight up offensive coordinator.
Offensive coordinator. Like, listen to those titles, folks. It's like, who's in charge? Who's running?
A lot of cooks in the kitchen.
And the feedback, frankly, and it's just feedback on the street. And I do think that sometimes guys get knocked. Every coach, especially if you make it all the way to the head coaching world, but if you're a coordinator long enough, and certainly Matt Nagy has done all those jobs, you're going to make mistakes, okay?
Yes.
Mike McCarthy made terrible mistakes in clock management when he was the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Some of them befuddling, idiotic mistakes. And this was a guy who before that had been a head coach for years in Green Bay and had won a Super Bowl for crying out loud.
Yes,
okay?
That's right. Yeah, a lot of success.
And we love to remember the mistakes, okay? And Matt Nagy made mistakes, okay? A bunch of them. And there is this thought that he's incompetent in some way, that Matt Nagy doesn't know how to run an offense, that he's kind of a lost soul.
That has been said.
No wonder he's out there roaming the countryside. Nobody wanted him. That's why the heck he was roaming the countryside. Meanwhile, the guy gets a great recommendation from Andy Reid, one of the best offensive minds in all of football, all right? And while Harbaugh has never worked directly with Nagy, there are several people who he has worked directly with who have worked with Nagy. So he went out and obviously did his homework on whether or not he thought Matt Nagy would fit this three-headed monster that the Giants have put together. Go ahead, BG.
But the question is that I have with the Nagy thing, and it's hard to splice. It's almost like when you're a fan of the Giants, right? We're talking about the Giants right now. You're a fan of the Giants, and the Giants hired Joe Shane, and you're like, okay, what does Joe Shane do? What was his job? It's amorphous. It's hard to understand. Like, I know what the general manager does, and I know what the head coach does, but what about the other guys on staff? What are they responsible for? When it's a good pick, do they get credit? When it's a bad pick, do they get credit? That's hard to discern. Like Matt Nagy, let's bring it back to him. Andy Reid called the plays in Kansas City. Okay, Matt Nagy was the offensive coordinator at times, but what did he do? What was his role? Now he's going to be asked to do something that he did not do with the Chiefs. He did not call plays with the Chiefs. Now he's being hired as the offensive coordinator. Now he's calling plays for this team. That's where it gets confusing because, like, you know, when you're part of a huge success, the Jets hired Adam Gase. Peyton Manning apparently gave a raving review, said he was great, but he didn't call the plays. And then also, even if he called the plays, it was how much of it was Peyton Manning? Peyton Manning was pretty good. The Chiefs are pretty good. Patrick Mahomes pretty good. Andy Reid's pretty good. Tyreek Hill was pretty good when he was there. Like, it's hard for me to. How much credit do I give Nagy for the success of the Chiefs Kingdom thing? That I don't know. That's difficult.
Right. And you know, and is he a team player? Because the way this is breaking down, you've got Callahan, who's kind of like the throwing mind, the passing game coordinator, as they've named him, okay? Greg Roman, there have been people who have written about Greg Roman being, dare I say, some kind of running game genius, okay? That there have been people out there in the NFL
correct.
that
Absolutely.
say that about him, that he is an amazing schemer for the running game, his blocking scheme.
His history says that. Look at Lamar Jackson and everything.
He's had a lot of really good success, all right? So you got a passing smart guy, you got a running smart guy, but the guy that actually has the job, Matt Nagy, who's, you know, everyone recognizes the offensive coordinator. He's the one with the headset on. He's either up in the tower or he's down on the sideline. He's, you know, telling the signalers what to put in here. This is the play. That's the guy that, to me, at least on game day, is making the final decision. And like, it's like, what is he agreeing with what Greg Roman, the running genius, is saying? Is he agreeing with the passing genius Callahan is saying? Or is he just making his stuff up and deciding himself what the heck to do? So I'm a little scared of what the Giants offense is going to be because this three-headed monster just seems like, I don't know if it's all on the same page. It scares the heck out of me.
Well, that's the thing. I would feel a lot better if the technology exists and is developed somewhere between here in August and September to morph people together. If Greg Roman, Matt Nagy, and Brian Callahan were all the same person, wow, what an offensive coordinator. Passing skills, running skills, knowledge, experience, whoa.
And coaching experience. I mean, think of it.
But they don't have that technology that I'm currently aware of. So, there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen, and that's when bad things happen. How do you who are you to blame? If I'm head coach John Harbaugh and things start going wrong, am I blaming the running game? And he's like, "Whoa, man, I only did it because Nagy said this." Like, oh, it just gets sloppy.
Well, Boy Green, in a world today, and we know this to be very, very true, that AI has taken over, dare I say, is integrating itself into every facet of life, it seems, doesn't it? I mean, my goodness, I'm running into AI in every possible direction, all right? Is it possible, Boy Green, that Matt Nagy will really be AI Matt Nagy on the sideline? It won't really be Matt. He'll look like Matt, and he'll be moving his lips and talking.
But he's getting the information from everybody.
Right. He's getting, They have plugged in the Greg Roman, Callahan and Nagy himself's info all into one AI computer, or AI entity, whatever you want to call it. And now it's all being fed to AI Nagy, who's on the sideline making calls. See, if that's the deal, then I'm in on that. I'm down with it. Because then maybe that's the way to bring these three, great minds together in some way and create one really, really difficult to deal with monster offensively for the Giants.
And this isn't as bad as this, but I just ran into this. So Mac Jones did a recent interview. I think it was with the Bussing with the Boys, but if I mess that part up, I apologize. Okay. But Mac Jones was getting brutally honest about how things went wrong in New England. And he mentioned that Josh McDaniels left. He got another head coaching job again. So Mac Jones, coming off his Pro Bowl rookie season, was like, okay, now what? Bill Belichick looked around at hiring somebody, but ultimately said, we'll keep it in-house. Joe Judge and Matt Patricia and Bill Belichick were the triple co-offensive coordinators. And Mac Jones, now after the fact, looking back retroactively saying it, he was saying, oh boy, this is not good. But Belichick has won 1 million Super Bowls, so he's got to be right. Obviously, he wouldn't. This doesn't seem great on the surface, but he's Belichick. It's going to all work out. And he just talked about how his confidence kept breaking down. There's too many cooks in the kitchen. There wasn't one person who stood in front of the room and said, hey, here's what's going on in an offensive room. The three of them collaborated on what the plans are going to be. And Mac Jones said he felt very confused on a week-to-week basis and all broke down. Again, this current situation isn't as bad because I think the three guys are all capable in their own ways. Yes. Patricia, Judge, and Belichick being the offensive wizard, I think, was all kinds of confusing because none of them had that kind of experience. In the Giants case, everyone has that kind of experience. So it's alarming in a different way, but I just saw that Mac Jones clip interview and I watched it and went, oh my gosh. And now we're talking about this. Jackson Dart's development is so critical to everything the Giants hope to do. So you just got to hope, again, in Harbaugh we trust.
Yeah, and I again, that's, I guess, where you draw the line because, Harbaugh, over all his years with Baltimore, whether you loved him as a coach or hated him, and I loved him from afar. I think a lot of times when you're too close to guys, you start getting sick of them after they're there that long, or if they don't have sustained winning or don't get you multiple rings, you start questioning their expertise and so on and so forth. It's always easier when you're close to the situation to start kind of souring on a coach or a person, rather than looking at all the good things. I think when you look at it from afar, I was always like, oh man, that guy's a great coach, man. Boy, he's turned Lamar Jackson into something great. He continues even when it doesn't even have great players on the defense. It seems like that defense always shows up. I don't know. I just see so much good in Harbaugh. And Harbaugh is, back to our original comment, the ultimate CEO. All right. And he's got 18 years of CEO experience that he brings with him to the Giants. So if anyone's going to figure out how to work this three-headed monster, this might be the guy. But it does scare me. I won't lie. I'm going to leave it at that. It does scare me. What is the Giant offense and who the heck is actually making the decisions for the offense? That scares me. And, of course, as you said, the development of Jackson Dart is critical to that piece. Critical to that piece. So that's one thing I want to get to. Another thing in Giants camp, a lot of noise coming out from all the beats about Tremaine Edmonds, Arvell Reese, that combination of linebackers in the center of the field for the Giants. And it could really be the perfect storm, BG. I mean, I think going into last year, when we talked about the Giants entering the season, and I had somewhat high hopes because they had just drafted Abdul Carter. All right, whoa, we're in a monster. Man, we already got Thibodeau over there. We got Carter over here. We got Dexter Lawrence. He's one of the best guys to plug up the middle. Man, this Giant front is starting to look incredibly potent and powerful. And I expected mega things, and we didn't really get it. We got kind of a whimper rather than a thump. It feels like it's changing this year a little bit. And I think it starts in the middle because in getting Edmonds, they get a guy, they get like the cagey veteran. They get a guy who still has certainly some gas in the tank. He's super athletic still, even at his age. has the experience. Has been in several different organizations. Remember, he started with the Bills. I remember him very well when he was a Bill and they drafted him. He's been around the block, and he's still playing really, really good football. And I love having guys like that in the center of your defense that, that don't make critical mistakes. Oh, I've seen that before. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stay in my lane. I'm not going to go for that guy out there because that's how they bring it back. I just think Edmonds brings that. And then you get to work. That guy, Edmonds, gets essentially to help train a beast. I mean, a guy that's just a physical freak. He's just, most people thought he was the best defensive player coming out of this draft, pre-draft. We both loved him pre-draft.
Yes.
The guy's he just is a physical freak. All right. And he just seems to love football. I love guys like that like their life is football, man. You just know you're going to get the best guys. And he's one of those guys. So, and he's got a very interesting backstory, Arvell Reese as well. So I just think number one, they've come up with massive answers for one of their biggest weaknesses, and that's the center of that defense. And so reports have been amazing that Reese is a freak, and the Giants haven't really even truly unleashed him yet. And Edmonds is this nice steadying force in the center of that defense. So I'm super excited about what I hope, Boy Green, will be a massively improved Giants defense. And I think it kind of starts there. Obviously, the front four matters as well. Now you got this beautiful 3-man rotation with what's his name?
Talk about pass rushers?
Yeah.
Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, and
I was going to say Banks. I knew it wasn't Banks. It was Burns.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So Burns coming off a great year. Abdul Carter coming off a very disappointing year, but again, all signs lead to Carter.
And Kayvon Thibodeau, obviously.
He's doing his homework. And then you've got the extra guy in Thibodeau, which everyone thinks the Giants should deal. But in the end, they've got a beautiful 3-headed monster. They're going to be able to keep those guys fresh. If someone goes down, you're not going to lose much. I mean, I just think it's a win-win-win across the front of that defense right now. So I just really, really like that. Obviously, the middle, they're going to have to figure out who
on the interior,
the middle without Dexter Lawrence. But based on what Dexter Lawrence did last year, I don't think they need all that much, to be honest with you, especially if the other guys are humming. So we'll see how that all plays out. And maybe there is a future where Vita Vea comes and joins us and plugs up that middle for the next bunch of years. That'd be something sweet, although something I'm certainly not counting on. But I just I look at the Giants defense and I look at that front seven and I'm just like, wow, this could be majorly better than it was last year, with a couple of additions and an improvement from guys that we expect to see improvement from. That's what I think.
Yeah. And I think people forget about this. Lurch, Tremaine Edmonds came into the NFL at 19 years of age.
Yep.
He's 28.
Yeah.
He came in at 19, one of the youngest players in NFL history to ever come out. It was just such a unique case. He's a freak. He's 6'5". Robert Saleh, when he was with the Jets, used to call Edmonds the Predator. He was in the, from the Alien versus Predator movie with his long hair and the freakish avatar size,
a wingspan.
It is to be 6'5" and 250 pounds. I mean, he's just uniquely gifted. God only made so many of those kind of players and people on planet Earth. So, to me, I think for the Giants, the biggest positional flip from one year to the next of being in one area to another is off-ball linebacker here, clearly for the Giants. They were Bobby Okereke, and God bless him, there was just a lot of problems. You had Micah McFadden who got hurt immediately in the beginning of the year. There's just a lot of problems at the second level of that defense. And now to invest legitimate free agency money, obviously, in Tremaine, and then Arvell Reese to get who Dane Brugler called the best player in the draft at pick 5. The Giants were very lucky, and now I think that could be the heartbeat of their defense and turn it around. You need leaders, and I think you have 2 leaders right there. They're going to be sure of the drink, and then the front seven in general. Again, I'm super concerned about the interior defensive line. To your point, Dexter Lawrence gave you nothing last year, but he didn't give you nothing like the defense was great. He gave you nothing and the defense had problems. So when Dexter was operating, the year prior to that was 9.5 sacks, a career high, and the crazy year he had. I'm just concerned. I don't love the pieces. I think for instance, the Jets had Quinnen Williams. They traded him away. Just the Giants have their guy, Dexter Lawrence, they trade him away. The Jets got a lot of quality. If they didn't get a 1, Quinnen's a 1. They got a lot of 2s and 3s. And I'm like, ooh, I could see the vision. There's enough 2s and 3s here that can plug the hole. I don't know if the Giants got a lot of 2s and 3s to replace Sexy Dexy. So I like DJ Reader, but the rest of the group just leaves something to be desired for me. So, but again, that's what football's for. People surprise. People are better than you think. An undrafted free agent can do something. A draft pick, Darius Alexander, maybe he's taking a big leap this year. I don't know, but that's where I'm concerned. But I love the pass rushers and I love the off-ball linebackers.
Me too. Me too. I just think it's going to be major improvement. Obviously, corner is still a huge question. Again, coming out of these couple of weeks down in West Virginia, here's the talk among Dan Dugan, among Ed Valentine, and some of the other insiders that are down there. Number one, it seems to be a wide open competition. As a matter of fact, the more I listen, the more I'm hearing like Paulson Adebo, everybody wants to just pencil him in there as a starter because the Giants are paying him a lot of money. It doesn't sound like he's a lock at all.
God, that doesn't sound
Newsome
good
has supposedly had a pretty good camp. Tay Banks has had a massively improved camp. I don't know what that really means in the grand scheme of things, but the fact that he's actually getting meaningful reps, and Colton Hood, the youngster, is also having a significant camp. You've got 4 guys battling for 2 spots essentially, and then obviously there'll be that slot corner that'll throw in. And I would like to think that Hood will be that 3rd guy, and that they'll find 2 starters out of the other 3 guys. But I'll tell you, it seems like it's anybody's game. And I don't think Adebo is locked and loaded. I know Ed spoke contrarily to that and believes that Adebo is going to be the starter. I listened to a piece from Dan Dugan this morning, and he does not. He clearly thinks Adebo is not a lock, man. Harbaugh, didn't sign him. He didn't pay him the money. He wants the best players on the field. And right now, so far through camp, Adebo isn't looking necessarily like one of these lock guys, that he's got the one corner. Okay, the other 2 guys are battling for the other. So we'll see. Like I said, I called it my most interesting camp battle. I think it is absolutely being true. Okay, that is playing out. That corner spot is absolutely the most fascinating, and I have no clue who's going to be on the starting corners when they open the season. I really don't.
Larch, there's 2 ways to perceive some of that information you just shared. The fact that Paulson Adebo isn't a lock is like, wow, there's so many other quality options. And Paulson,
things are that
great news. Or Paulson, yikes, like he hasn't secured the spot based on whatever level of play, and that's alarming. That maybe we can't get this guy. Like, to me, if I'm a Giants fan, I want Paulson Adebo to unquestionably, unequivocally grab a hold of one of these jobs and be spectacular. And thank goodness. Like, again, I loved Colton Hood coming out of the draft. So he's a guy I have a lot of hopes for, but rookies operate in different ways. Some rookies seize the day and they're spectacular immediately. Some need time. I don't know what the case is for Colton Hood, but corner major issue.
Corner it's fascinating. It's fascinating. And I don't know where it all goes, but it is a heated competition between those 4 guys. I didn't even mention, you mentioned those linebackers earlier. Just one other name I wanted to throw in the mix, that Jack Kelly kid, who was the last pick of the Giants, whatever it was, I think in the 6th round was their last pick. He was their final pick of this year's draft. He's been making quite an impression as well as kind of a backup role player guy. I think we're definitely going to see him on the special teams. All right, so that's a little bit on that. Quickly out to receiver. Obviously, great news that Malik Neighbors just out there running around and doing stuff.
Sure, of course.
Right? And participating in limited drills, but nonetheless with the team participating. Yes. It's giving everybody the idea, the thought that he might be there opening day. And even if he's not, it seems like it will be shortly thereafter. So that's phenomenal news for every Giant fan out there. That guy has to be out there. He's critical. And there's a ton of excitement around Malachi Fields and what he brings to the table, and that he might contribute significantly right out of the gate. So we'll see. He's a different type of receiver than the Giants have because he's this big physical guy. So there'll be a role for that because they don't have a guy like that that's built like him. So I think that's going to be fascinating. It's also a fascinating battle, Boy Green. You would think, again, that Darius Slayton, the Giants paid him a lot of money.
Sure.
He'd be a lock to be that other side, starter. Word on the street is Darnell Mooney is competing very hard for that spot, and that Mooney could potentially unseat Slayton as the starter opposite Malik Neighbors, assuming Neighbors is out there on opening day. So look out. There is a competition definitely for that second wide receiver slot, and that Mooney, in some areas at least, has, dare I say, outperformed Slayton in some areas. And obviously Slayton off to a late start, having that, he had the hernia surgery, I think, during the offseason and, got a little bit of a slow start to camp. But we'll see where that goes as well. Dan Dugan also had go ahead. You want to say something on that front?
Yeah, just real quick. If I'm a Giants fan, I want Malachi Fields as a Notre Dame. I mean, you can see the helmet behind me. I'm a Golden Domer guy. If you're a Giants fan, you want Malachi Fields to blow the roof off in the preseason and have his Victor Cruz moment. And wow, there's your young star wide receiver with Malik Neighbors, and give him some help opposite to draw some attention away. So that's what you're hoping for. Again, you're trying to speak that into existence. Clearly, we have to see what the actual reporters say being there. But no, that's what we want to see. But no, another Dan Dugan nugget, please.
Yeah, one more Dan Dugan nugget. I thought this was fascinating. He got asked a question about the offensive line and where it's at now and compared to last year. Yes.
Okay.
And Dugan had made this statement. I thought it was fascinating. He said he believes Andrew Thomas is among the most underrated players in the entire NFL. Now, he said, now I understand why also, because the guy has missed a lot of games.
Injuries, yeah.
But when he is playing, he is, to Dan, this is Dan's opinion, among the most pivotal Giants on the entire roster. More important, Dugan said this, more important than Malik Neighbors. More important than other positions on the field. And he went through a list, more important, like he's like right at the top. All right. Obviously quarterback, matters probably the most, right? You mentioned Jackson Dart in the comments, but that he's that important. And when he's been out, it's been like a house of cards, man, just falling over when Andrew Thomas is not in there. So a healthy, playing at his best, Andrew Thomas, he believes is one of the best left tackles in all of football, and he's one of the most underrated players in the NFL. And if he gets a full healthy year, that is just going to anchor that offensive line for the Giants and give these other guys a chance to blossom as well. So I thought that was a fascinating statement by him. So he loves Andrew Thomas. I think that's kind of it on the Giant front. That's kind of all the key things coming out of camp in West Virginia. The overall sentiment was the Giants had a really nice trip down there. The facilities served them well. They were able to get done what they needed to get done. And now, just like the Jets, Boy Green, they're going to get into this intra-squad stuff. They're going to get an opportunity to do the joint practices. And we're going to get 3 preseason games. We get to evaluate all these players and really, really get a look at them in pads playing against opponents, man. I'm looking forward to that.
Right. And that should be amazing. And I'm excited for that. I would also say, to the Andrew Thomas point real quick, let's just hope for health. And I hope this for all 32 teams. I want people to lose on their own merits, not because of devastating injuries and that having a ripple effect, domino effect on the rest of the team. So I hope Andrew Thomas, the league is a better place when he is healthy and operating. And I'm sure Jackson Dart feels that way too. So that's great stuff there from Dugan.
All right, last topic for the show today, Boy Green. I wanted to make sure we just at least talked about this a little bit. I know we did with Matt Lombardo, our NFL insider, because this stuff had just gone down. Or actually, no, Lombardo, only one of the contracts had been signed. And then we talked to, I guess it was Bud, maybe later in the week.
Gibbs would have been the second one, yeah.
So 3 contracts signed this past week by running backs. The first to fall was Bijan Robinson with the Atlanta Falcons. Then Matt Lombardo, upon reporting upon that, said he thinks Jahmyr Gibbs, maybe by the time our show ends, is going to sign. Well, literally within 24 hours of when Matt was speaking to us, Jahmyr Gibbs did sign his deal. And then finally, Jonathan Taylor finishing up the trio of receivers, of running backs who are out there that were due to get extended. All of them were extensions. They were all generous. They have become now the 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Gibbs is at the top of that food chain right now. 1, 2, and 3 paid at the running back position. But it just lends itself to another quick discussion, Boy Green, about the value of the running back in the NFL. While these contracts are nice and they're getting a lot of guaranteed money, which I think is wonderful, they still are incredibly underpaid to me. I mean, when you look at, again, some of the weird contracts that are out there for like mid to even, let's just say mid-level. I won't disrespect anybody. Mid-level receivers, okay, compared to running backs, there are mid-level receivers being paid better money than Jahmyr Gibbs is getting paid. Better money than Bijan. And you can't tell me that Bijan Robinson or Jahmyr Gibbs aren't more important to their teams than, an Alec Pierce, for instance, who's out there. Like he's maybe a perfect example of one of those mid-level receivers who's fine. He's had some level of success in the NFL, but not the success that those guys have had at their position. And yet he's making more money than any of those 3 guys. Shocking to me. Yeah. Shocking.
Yeah, I just that's the thing I just don't get. I made the rant on our Bud Poliquin interview, but I'll say it again here. Like, again, it's great that Bijan to Gibbs, passed it. I'm the highest paid. Phenomenal. Great for the position, great for business. I'm a little biased. I was a former running back, so I have a special place in my heart for running backs. I used to love watching growing up Barry Sanders, Walter Payton. Like these are and then formative go into the 2000s of LaDainian Tomlinson and Adrian Peterson and Priest Holmes and all these wonderful running backs that, set the tone for me and what I wanted to be. And they're so important. A running back, you turn around and hand him the ball. He touches the football more than anyone else outside of a quarterback and a center, I guess. He runs the ball. He catches the ball. He does pass pro. Like, that's such a valuable piece to the puzzle. And the fact that a wide receiver needs so many things to go right to get the ball in his hands. The offensive line has to protect. The quarterback has to, first off, just not get sacked, stay open, find the receiver, get the ball from his hands to his hands. Like, there's so many things. And if all of those 12 things don't go right, the receiver never gets the ball up and complete. The running back, you turn around, hand him the ball. And if he's good enough, like Barry Sanders was, his offensive lines were terrible in Detroit, but he figured it out. He made plays no matter what. So the fact of the matter is Alec Pierce is more guaranteed money than Gibbs, Robinson, Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, any of these running backs you want to point at. To me, it's nuts. If you told me, Paul, you can have right now Jahmyr Gibbs or Alec Pierce, who are you taking? And especially at that money, it's Jahmyr Gibbs. So hopefully this starts a new era that in drafts, when you see a Jahmyr Gibbs out there and you're like, you know what? I don't care what other people say. I'm going to get this guy. He can run the football. We can line him up at wide receiver. He can pass block and everything. To me, it's going to bother me to all hell. I don't understand it. And by the way, Alec Pierce, who signed this crazy deal, he hasn't practiced in camp yet. He's still hurt. And it gets me on rants and it grinds my gears. I don't understand it. And what happens when we get to ends of games? What happens when we get to the playoffs? What happens when we get to the Super Bowl? Who do you turn to for the win to close out the game? It's a running back. You hand the ball in his belly to close out a game. When you have a lead, when you have a 6-point lead with 8 minutes to go, you turn around and hand the rock to that guy over and over and over again. You don't throw around the football to the wide receivers. Come on, man. Let's get some Aretha Franklin here on the show, man. Let's show some RESPECT, some respect for my godforsaken running backs.
Yeah, I hear you, and still not getting it. I mean, it's nice to see the going rate has gone up a bit. It's nice to see the guarantees are becoming greater. That's all good stuff, but in the grand scheme of things, just based on, again, individual value to a team, there's no question the running back is still absolutely positively still devalued. And it just brings me back full circle to something I was listening to and reading about on Giants. So, as you know, Arvell Reese, was being touted out there pre-draft as an edge guy, an edge rusher.
Yes.
And the Giants end up, he ends up falling to the Giants at 5. And the Giants say right out of the box, we got 2 edge rushers, 3 actually. We got 3 edge rushers on our roster right now, including a guy we drafted last year as the top overall defensive player in the draft. This guy's going to play inside linebacker for us, right? Sounds wonderful. Again, can't have enough good players on your team. I think Reese is a versatile player who could play both positions and was still, in a lot of ways, a developing pass rusher. So, cool, this will give him time to develop those skills, so on and so forth. But the talk is essentially that at this point, Reese has totally accepted his role as an inside linebacker. However, this is his first year in the NFL. He's still living through the Cinderella period of, I got drafted in the top 5 in the NFL. Look at me. I got a 5-year contract, yada, yada, yada. Reese still himself considers himself an edge rusher. So won't it be interesting to see in year 2 and year 3 of this contract, as Reese continues to evolve as a player, whether or not he's going to be happy sitting in the middle of that defense? And I don't say that because Reese isn't a good team player, which he really seems to be, at least so far here in his young career. But the fact of the matter is, he, like any other player, is forced to look at the pay scale, okay? I think we're in danger, if the running back position continues to be devalued, of skilled guys not wanting to play running back because you can make more money being a receiver. I might as well be a receiver. I can make 2 or 3 times as much money. Well, doesn't the same go for the defensive side of things? At what point does Arvell Reese, a guy that believes he can be an effective edge rusher eventually in the NFL, not say, those edge guys, they get paid, hundreds
lot
of
more.
$millions. I'm only getting, $50 to $70 million, in my long-term contract. I think I'll be an edge rusher from now on, So there is a point at which these guys have to look at where they play positionally and say, they don't pay me anymore for just my value as a player. They pay me for my value as a player against what position I play.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't pick my position. I should have been an edge rusher. Everybody in the draft, all the scouts and the experts that were thinking of picking me thought I was an edge guy. That's what I was being labeled. And now I've been labeled an inside linebacker, and therefore I'm going to take less and less money year after year after year. It's just opened up a very dangerous can of worms where, because we are paying certain positions significantly more money, it lends itself towards players, dare I say, acting more selfishly. But is it really selfish? If you're protecting your investment, you're protecting your future. I don't think it is.
The highest paid inside linebackers making in the early 20s, 20 million, 21 million, 22 million. The highest pass rushers making 50 million, more than double. Will Anderson Jr. just got 50 plus million a year. That's 2.5 times what old, again, and this is, Arvell Reese is a rookie, obviously. So to be in that category, he would have to be insane, of course. But like, I look at the pass rushers, the Giants are hoping Abdul Carter's a superstar. So he's one of your pass rushers. Brian Burns is 28 right now, but pass rushers can play into their 30s. Where is the path for Arvell Reese to eventually be that pass rusher outside of being a rotational, situational guy where he would have to primarily be an off-ball linebacker? I don't see the path on the Giants, and they just took him at the top 5 pick. They hope he plays the entire career there. Yeah, that's a complicated path. Yeah.
No, it's funny too. We'll end with this. And
sure.
This is just, I'm going to be a fan here for a minute, right?
Okay.
So we were talking last week, and I said to you, I may go out and get myself an Arvell Reese jersey.
You did. You said that.
Like,
yes.
His potential, I love. I can't believe he fell to the Giants. I'm so elated. I think he's going to be like a major, major piece for years to come. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I don't know this. He's going to play in the pros, and we're going to find out. But I'm willing to, dare I say, roll the dice on this guy. I just have a feeling. I got a feeling about this guy.
Yeah.
So I said, I think I'm going to get myself an Arvell Reese jersey going into the season. I want to be at the front of this line. I want to say I believed in this guy right out of the gate, right from the start, so on and so forth. Boy Green, I can't get a Reese jersey anywhere. I mean, I want a nice, authentic Reese jersey. I want the authentic NFL. Like, I want the real deal, right? Can't get it. They don't make it.
What?
I'm like,
they definitely
how the heck do they not have Arvell Reese out there? I scanned the internet yesterday for like 2 hours. I was like, why can't I get a decent? There's a couple of like weird knockoff ones, but Boy Green, the only ones I saw out there were Arvell Reese with a number 1. He does not wear number 1. He is wearing number 52. 5'2".
Yeah.
Okay, that's his number. All right, like 1 is from when he was drafted. He was drafted in the first round. Everybody gets that number 1. I don't want an Arvell Reese number 1 jersey. I want an Arvell Reese, the jersey he's going to wear on his back during games. That right now is number 52. That's what I want. Can't get one. Can't get him.
Yes. So here I'm on NFLshop.com right now, and I'll read it in a second. But what should happen is the number 1 is not the number 1. It won't get sent out to you until the Giants confirm the jersey number. Reese confirms the jersey number. So you basically place a pre-order until he selects his number. I don't know if he has. It says it's reserved right now, so I assume he hasn't, or locked it in anyway. So so you can confidently get your Reese jersey. Make sure you read that fine print. So you have to go to the right website. I'd go to a legitimate place. That's where I always go for mine.
Yes,
and it'll say somewhere in the bylaw, we will send this out when the jersey number gets confirmed to the league. Like, so he doesn't just pick one and then change it the next week. So yes, you can go get one. I highly recommend you go get one. I want to go get a Bailey one now after seeing him in practice. I'm like, good Lord, add it to my very long list of jerseys. So yes, that's why. Yes, I agree. The number 1 jerseys they get at the draft. Cool. Good for you. Put it on your wall. Right. I don't want your number. I want the real number. So yes, there should be in the fine print of NFLshop.com. It should say, we will not send this out until the jersey is confirmed. And then you should get it as soon as it is confirmed.
All right. Since we pre-recorded this, I'll do what we normally do in our live show, give you final thoughts on the show today. Anything else you want to hit?
Yeah, safe travels to myself, I guess, but this is cool. Shout out to the Jets. I won these random lottery tickets to go. There's not a lot of fans that get a chance to get this as a special private practice, so I will try to represent all the Jet fans of this show on MZ Show Digital or the Boy Green channel. I want to try to get I want to get the bang for my buck. I want to get as many observations as I can. Hopefully talk to a few players after practice and get some level of insight or something for the show. So that's what I will do. I'll be heading out today to go to this Jets practice tomorrow, and then I'll be driving back on Tuesday, and I'll be here for the live show on Wednesday. So hopefully a lot of great updates to share, and hopefully no injuries for anybody. So yeah, my final notes are it's game week. I'm fired up, Lurch. Thank goodness we're here. There will not be another week without football the rest of the way, right? We're going to have NFL preseason games every week. We'll have college football week 0 and then week 1, and we're off to the races.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. So, I mean, yeah, let's get it on, my friend. Let's get it on. We got preseason games the end of this week. I might make one more glorious trip down to New York City. I'm not sure. Trying to squeeze maybe one more in before the summer ends. As you know, the semester will be starting in a couple of weeks. So, yeah, summer's flying by, man. It's flying by. So, a few more weeks of golf. One more to go tonight. So, this worked out. I mean, I would have had to leave the show a little bit earlier if we had done it live. So if you're watching this, folks, this is a recorded version of our live show that we normally record. Normally do live at 3:00 in the afternoon. We're doing this a little bit before lunchtime here today. But we wanted to get you a full buffet of everything for our normal Monday. We will be back with you Wednesday in our normal live slot. We will actually be there live and in color. But Boy Green is heading down to Jets camp so he can get himself situated for a big day tomorrow. And he'll have some great stuff for the channel and some content that he'll provide both for his channel and our channel on that front. And we're just gearing up for the end of this week, man. Real preseason games. We're through the Hall of Fame now. The inductions are official. Those guys are in the Hall of Fame now. They all have their busts.
Great.
And now we are ready to start playing some bleeping football, man. It is time. Season is flying by. Fantasy drafts coming up. I think we're going to probably start Joe Bartle interactions with us. We're going to be doing Joe on Friday, so probably a week from Friday, Joe will join us. Yeah, and we'll start doing Joe Bartle leading up to the remaining fantasy drafts and the regular season, and we'll be talking to Bartle all season long. Joe from RotoWire.com. You'll also hear him on Sirius XM Satellite Radio on Fantasy Sports Radio. I've been hearing quite a bit of him lately. I went back to back yesterday. I don't think I ever finished telling the story. I almost told it before, and then I got lost in the sauce often as I do. Get off on a tangent. I was listening to Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Joe Bartle was doing a show with Jim Coventry, who's another guy from RotoWire. They're really terrific together. And then Joe signs off, and I just happened to keep the channel on as I'm driving around because I was out running some errands. Brian Drake is next. Fantasy points. There's Brian Drake. I'm like, oh my God, I get Bartle and Drake back to back. Our two,
pretty cool,
fantasy football guys in our leagues, literally talking back to back. That was freaky. I was just like, whoa, this is freaky, man.
Hey,
back host guys that I know.
The good news is we don't have those two guys in the same league anymore. Thank God.
No, we don't.
Why did we have to increase the difficulty? Why did we need to add more fantasy football experts? Isn't a home league tough enough as it is? But apparently,
and frankly, I think now that they're both kind of entrenched in the fantasy world, Brian more so in recent years, I got there's a little collusion potential there. I don't like it, so I'm glad we got him. Glad we got him separated out. Separated out. Because Lord knows no one will ever accuse you and I of collusion, for God's sake. So we've made like 2 trades in the history of all of our leagues in 10 years.
And one of them was a kicker. Together. So we swapped kickers straight up.
Green and I. Not that we don't try, not that we don't attempt to.
Sure, every once in a while.
We do, but we don't see eye to eye when it comes to player value. So we have a difficult time. So we'll never be accused of colluding.
I don't think so.
But those guys have made some trades, and those trades could become more plentiful now that they, dare I say, swim in the same waters there.
Probably,
fantasy sports radio world. So, and they do all those big time drafts. They were both, out at Canton
leagues. Yes, the Kings Classic.
Kings Classic League. And Joe was talking about, upcoming drafts that he has. Joe's already probably done like 10 drafts already. I'm like, oh my God, look at what we're
congrats to Joe. I mean, we'll talk about this. He won the big money league last year, like serious money. So again, good for him. And that's crazy. So that'll be another live show for us, guys. So in case if Lurch didn't mention, I'll re-mention it if he did or didn't. Is that we're doing our lives on Mondays at 3:00. Our lives on Wednesday at 3:00, and then not this Friday. It'd be next one, which would be the 21st. It'll be a little after 3:00, like 3:15 every week will be Joe Bartle. So use him as a resource. Get your fantasy football questions answered. Start lineup decisions, draft, getting you ready for your draft. So yes, we'll be on live 3 times a week, at least on the MC Show digital side. I'm live every day, plus all our other recorded interviews. So it's football season. Content is king, Lurch.
All right. So, yeah. So, everybody, again, like the video. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up on the way out. If you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe. Sorry we couldn't be with you live today, but we will be back again with you live on Wednesday. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you live on Wednesday.